Being lean is the cornerstone of being attractive. If you're not lean, you're not going to be that attractive, unfortunately. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to get lean and stay lean so that you can be a good looking guy. Now, when you are lean, like myself, when you're in that low body fat percent range, 8 to 12%, you get different results from the majority of people. You get women throwing themselves at you. You get massively increased confidence to the point of arrogance almost, which you do need a little bit of as a man, because you look at yourself in the mirror and you're looking amazing. You see the way that people treat you and it's way better than the average person because you've put in that work to actually get lean, to look better than the average guy. And as a result, you get treated better and your results with your self-esteem are much better. Now, if you want to get lean and stay there indefinitely, you obviously need to do it in a sustainable way that's going to allow you to continue these habits when you've reached your desired body fat percentage. Because there's no point of getting lean, getting attractive for a week, and then you blow back up to your original body fat percentage. Then you've just lost all the benefits, basically. We want to design a habit, design a way of eating that is going to allow us to get to the desired body fat percentage and stay there indefinitely and get leaner if you want as well. Now, to be attractive, you're going to have to be somewhere within the range of 8 to 12% body fat. This is very lean. Most people are not at this standard, right? But those are the standards that you have to set for yourself if you want to be attractive. Obviously, most people, when you look around, they're not attractive. That's because many reasons, but one of the main reasons is that they're not lean. They're not at this good level of body fat. So when you can set those standards and you can design your meal plans, you can design your training and everything else I'm going to talk about to get there, then that's when you actually get the real rewards. You actually get to be attractive when no one else is. Now, the very basics is that you should be in a calorie deficit to lose weight. That's a non-negotiable. Go online, go on a TDEE calculator. That's going to give you your maintenance, which is going to allow you to calculate your deficit from there. So you give it some information, it's going to give you a number. That's going to be an estimate of your daily maintenance calories, right? You can obviously adjust it from there. Basically, to get lean, you want to be in a deficit. So you subtract a number from this calories, this amount that you've got. So for me, I'm burning around 3,000 calories a day. I'm going to take away about 500 calories from this. So when I want to get lean, I'm eating 2,500 calories a day. That's going to give me a nice sustainable deficit so I can get lean easily. Now, I am already quite lean, so if I'm losing more weight, then I do have to take it a bit slower, 400 or 500 calorie deficit maximum. If you're like above 20% body fat, 25%, then you can go up to even 1,000 calories. However, this does take a lot of discipline. This does take a lot of willpower. And if you've not been successful basically in managing your weight before, then I would recommend to take it a bit easier. Stick around 500. That's a nice easy deficit. 5 to even 700 calories. That's a quite sustainable deficit that shouldn't take too much willpower at all, especially when you do what I'm going to tell you next, which is to base your diet around whole foods. So whole foods is basically just meat, fruit, eggs, vegetables, anything that, anything on the perimeter of the supermarket, right? The meat, the produce, the eggs, nothing that's in a package that's been processed, that's got 25 ingredients. We don't want to be eating that bullshit because that's designed to be hyper palatable. That's designed to be consumed in excess for profit, right? They have to sell loads of them and therefore make people eat loads of them so that they can make more money. That's just how it is. It's not evil per se. Some people would argue it is, but they're in the business of making money, the companies that produce these foods. So that's what they have to do. What you have to do as an individual with agency, right? You can choose what you eat. You don't have to eat that shit. You eat the food that is natural, that is just designed to be nutrients, that is food, right? So you eat meat, fruit, eggs, vegetables. You base your diet, most of your diet, pretty much all your diet actually, around these whole foods, and that's going to make it a lot easier to hit that calorie deficit. The number one thing that people struggle with most when trying to lose body fat is adherence to the diet. So actually sticking to the amount of calories that you have to eat. Me, for example, if I'm supposed to eat 2,500, but I'm eating 2,900, well, I'm barely losing weight at that point. I'm not going to get the results that I want in the amount of time that I want it. If I'm eating 3,000, I'm at maintenance. I'm not losing any weight. If I'm eating 3,300, now I'm gaining weight. So you need to actually make sure that you're sticking to the amount of calories that you need to stick to every single day. It's not one day, it's not even 1 week, it's weeks and months, and that's going to get you the results over time. The easiest way to do this is to make sure that your diet is mostly whole foods, if not all whole foods. Like if you want the absolute best results, like I do, then eat just whole foods alone. So these are the things that are going to make you feel full, that are going to make you feel satiated: protein, fiber, water, all these things that are going to trigger the leptin in your brain, which is the hormone that makes you feel full, that signals to your body that you've had enough food. These are the things that are going to happen when you start to eat a proper diet. Now, me personally, I base my diet around meat and eggs, and then I add the carbs, and the fats is already contained in the meat and eggs, right? So meat, eggs, basically beef and eggs and fruit and potatoes. That's what I'm eating every single day. That's what I found that works best for me personally. Those are the foods that, you know, get along well with me. Every person might be a little bit different. You might prefer rice to potatoes, or you might prefer buckwheat to rice, right? It doesn't matter. Basically, you eat whole foods, only whole foods. Like, you're not gonna swap in Doritos instead of rice, right? That's not happening here. Or if you actually want to be attractive and you don't want to be fat and ugly, right? Basically, so you need to find the proteins, the fats and carbs that are the best for you, the best for your situation, whole foods, and you eat those basically every single day. You can mix and match a little bit, but if you actually want to hit your calories every single day strictly, I would recommend eating the same meals every single day. That's going to make it as easy as possible. Your macronutrients are your proteins, fats and carbs. So this is what your calories actually consist of. Fat has 9 calories per gram, and protein and carbs has 4 calories per gram. These are very important to get dialed in, because this will actually determine what your calorie deficit does to you. What I mean by this is that a lot of people are just interested in losing weight in general, but we're not interested in that. To become attractive, to get an attractive physique, you need to make sure that you're just losing body fat alone. You're not losing weight in general, but just body fat, because you can lose weight by losing muscle and losing muscle glycogen, but we don't want to do that, because that's going to make us look worse when we're in a calorie deficit. So in order to lose body fat specifically, you need to get your macronutrients dialed in. The way we're going to do this is by eating a good amount of protein so that we can retain and even build muscle in a calorie deficit, and then enough fat to make sure that our hormones are functioning optimally, and then enough carbs so to make sure that we can train hard in the gym to actually stimulate that muscle growth. Your protein should be at a minimum of 1 gram per pound of lean body mass. So your lean body mass is basically your weight but minus your body fat percentage. You get your body fat percentage by just looking at some graphs online, or you can get a scan if you want, and then you just take away that percentage from your protein. So let's say you're 200 pounds, you estimate your body fat percentage to be at 20%. 20% of 200 is 40. So 200 take away 40, that's 160. You should be eating 160 grams of protein per day. Now make sure that this protein, this is very important, make sure that this protein is high quality. If you're getting your protein from, I don't know, potatoes and rice, that's not going to be anywhere near the same amount of quality as if you're getting your protein from beef and eggs, for example. That's because meat sources and animal sources, basically in general, like meat, eggs, dairy, these types of things, they contain all the essential amino acids that protein needs to have to be utilized effectively in your body, and especially leucine, which is an amino acid that stimulates muscle protein synthesis. So that's good for your muscle growth, basically. Now, if you're getting your protein, or the majority of your protein, from plant sources, that's not really going to contain all the essential amino acids, and it's not going to be utilized as effectively for your body, for muscle growth, and for, you know, things that it does in the brain as well. So make sure that your protein is basically coming from mainly animal sources, at least the majority of it. Your fat should be at a decent level to actually maintain your hormonal function whilst you're in a calorie deficit, because a calorie deficit is already a bit of a stress on the body, and if you cut out fat completely, that's going to be a massive stress on the body. You're gonna, you know, your dick is going to stop working, you're not going to sleep, you're just going to feel like shit overall, because a lot of people do that. A lot of people drop their fat way too low and start to feel like a zombie, right? So your fat needs to be at a bare minimum, of 0.33 grams per pound of body weight, of just total body weight. So if you're 200 pounds again, then your fat is going to be 66 grams minimum. But ideally, like realistically, you want to kind of push it more towards half a gram of fat per pound of body weight. That's going to give you like the best results overall in terms of your hormonal function and the way you feel. So for me, I'm 170 pounds. I'm eating about 85 grams. And as for your carbohydrates, once you've got your fat and protein set, you just backfill the rest of your calories with carbs, because obviously, you know, the rest of the calories have to come from somewhere if they're not coming from fat and protein. So you don't actually have to calculate it individually. You just fill in the rest of the calories with those carbohydrates. So for me personally, what I'm eating in a day currently, I'm in a deficit right now. I'm getting lean. Bear in mind, my deficit is not going to be the same as yours. You're going to have a different level of activity. You're going to have a different body weight than me. So I'm eating 2,500 calories a day. I'm eating 85 grams of fat, I'm eating 165 grams of protein, and then I'm eating 300 grams of carbs. Those approximate numbers, they add up to about 2,500 calories. My protein sources are meat and eggs. My fat sources are meat and eggs and butter and olive oil. And my carb sources are fruit, honey, and sweet potatoes and normal potatoes. That's what I'm eating every single day. I'm getting leaner every single day because I'm sticking to my calories. I've got my diet in a way, I cook the foods in a way whilst still sticking to my calories, but I make it tasty, I make it taste nice so that I'm not dreading the food that I'm eating. I don't even feel like I'm on a diet either, to be honest with you, because I'm eating foods that I enjoy, all whole foods as well. So, I've not got any mental anguish knowing that I'm putting poison in my body. I'm eating whole foods that are good for me, that make me healthy, that are making me leaner because I've controlled my calories and I've basically controlled everything in my diet. Every day waking up leaner, and it feels amazing. Once you can get this solidified, you get your meals, your food, you're eating the same thing pretty much every day, then you just get this momentum where every single day you're getting leaner, you're waking up, you're getting leaner every single day, and it feels amazing. Everything's controlled and everything is optimized for your goals. If you want to make your meals very satiating, then you take some of the calories from your carbs and allocate them to low calorie vegetables. For example, broccoli, cauliflower, bell peppers, zucchini, cucumbers, anything like that, any low calorie, high fibrous, high water vegetables, you add them in, and those are going to make your meals very, very filling. That's called volume eating. When you can even base your meals on these things. You like get a base of, let's say, broccoli and cauliflower, and then you add in the protein, you add in the fats on top of that. That's going to make sure that you eat a lot of vegetables, which is going to fill up a lot of space in your stomach and make it feel like, like you're bursting basically, even though you're eating in a calorie deficit. That's the point that you want to get to. You want to be feeling very full and satisfied with your meals, so it doesn't even feel like you're dieting basically. And they don't have to be bland. You don't have to just boil broccoli and that's it, right? You can add your seasonings. You can put maybe a little bit of olive oil if you got the calories for it, and roast them or anything like that. Basically learn how to cook. That's what I can tell you. You don't have to be amazing. Like, I cook very simple meals. I steam the potatoes, I season it, I put a bit of olive oil, a bit of pepper, paprika, whatever on it. But I do make the food taste nice, because I know that if I'm just eating like boiled chicken and rice, like I'm not going to eat that every single day. That's ridiculous. So I make the food taste good so that I can stick to my calories every single day and actually enjoy it at the same time. Now, if you want to put getting lean on autopilot, then as well as eating the same things or mostly the same things every single day, you should eat them at the same times every day with the same amounts every single day. So basically everything is consistent day to day. Because if you want to eat 5 meals a day and they're all different and you're switching the times that you're eating them, that's so chaotic, that's so inconsistent that I promise you're not going to stick to it. Even I can't do that. I've got a lot of experience with dieting, with cooking and all these things, but even I am not going to do that because it's difficult. So what I'm doing currently, I'm eating just 2 meals a day, because I'm the type of person, right, that I can't eat small meals. Some people might like that. Like for you, for example, you might like to eat 4 meals, 5 meals a day, 500, 400 calories each or whatever it is. But me personally, I can't do that. If I eat 400 calories, I need to eat like 1,000 more. There's no way. I'd rather not eat at all than just eat a tiny meal, right? So what I'm doing currently, I'm basically waking up, let's say 8 a.m. and I'm fasting technically until 1 p.m. And then I eat my first meal. It's going to be like egg and banana pancakes, right? So just eggs and bananas mixed up, fry them in butter, put raw honey and blueberries on top. It's absolutely amazing. Like I look forward to that meal every single day. And then I go to the gym like 2.5 hours later. So in that meal, I've got a lot of carbs, and then I've got some protein and some fat to slow the digestion a bit. And then I go to the gym, I work out hard. And then after I come back from the gym, this is going to be like 6 p.m. now. I'm going to eat my big meal. That's like a feast at night. I'm going to have potatoes. I'm going to have meat. I'm going to have some olive oil on there. And yeah, I have like 1,500 calories there. That's the way that I'm doing it currently. I'm having 2 meals a day. I'm having big satisfying meals. That's my meal timing, I have a meal before the workout, I wait a little bit, and then after the workout, I'll have a massive meal. And that's it for the day. I'm eating once at 1 p.m., once at 7 p.m., and then I go to bed at like 10 p.m., a few hours before bed to allow digestion, right? Because if you eat right before bed, your digestion is going to be shit. You're not going to sleep, basically. So your meal structure has to align with your schedule. It has to work with what you're doing every single day. So when you can have set meal times, a set structure where you eat the same things and you eat them at the same times, you don't have to think. The more thinking that you have to do with what you're going to eat, with your nutrition, the harder it's gonna be to stick to it. The more likely it is that you're gonna fall off. If you don't know what you're doing every single day, if you don't have it set in MyFitnessPal, the meals that you're eating every single day, and you don't know in your mind that you're going to eat it at the exact same time, it's going to be cooked the same way, everything. If it's not the same, it's going to be so hard to stick to. And like I said, the adherence is the most difficult part for people. So if you make the diet as easy to adhere to as possible, which means putting it on autopilot, then honestly, it's going to be so easy for you to get lean that it's going to be a joke. Other people are struggling to get lean because they're trying to do different things every single day. They don't know what they're doing. When you know what you're doing every single day, it makes it so easy. Another benefit of having a set structure for your meals is that a lot of biological processes in your body actually run on a 24-hour clock, so that when you have your meals at the same times every single day, naturally your body will start to get hungry around those times. And during the times when you're not supposed to be eating, you're going to be less hungry. So again, it makes the adherence to the diet a lot easier. And when you reach where you want to reach, when you reach your desired body fat percentage, right, you don't switch the way that you're eating. Obviously, you have a bit more freedom now. You have more calories. You can have maybe some different foods, higher fat. You can have more carbs. You can do whatever you want, basically, as long as you're sticking to your calories. But you don't. I would recommend actually sticking with the same meals, like for example, the same meal times. Because if you go from eating, let's say me for example, if I go from eating 2 big meals a day, and now I have an extra 500 calories because I'm at maintenance, so now I'm going to eat 5 meals a day, well, that's going to be a lot harder for me to stick to my maintenance calories. Ideally, you want to be doing very similar things to what you were doing when you were dieting, but now you just have a little bit more freedom with your calories. You can just eat a bit more food, which is going to satisfy you more. But the main structure, the meal times, the way that you eat, that stays the same. Because if you try to do different things to maintain leanness as when you got lean, well, that doesn't really make much sense, does it? That's like that's like doing 4 to 8 reps training till failure in the gym, which is what I'd recommend for you to do to build muscle. And then as soon as you start building a nice physique, you start building some muscle, well, now you switch to 25 reps and you stop training till failure. That doesn't make sense, right? You do the same things to get lean, to stay lean, sorry. You do the same things to stay lean as what got you lean, and that's what's going to keep you lean forever. Now, even when you're dieting, you can still go out, you can still eat at restaurants. You just have to make sure that the calories are controlled. That's the most important thing. Adhere to the calories and you're going to get the results. Now, the way that you're going to do it, ideally, to make it as easy as possible, I would actually recommend for you to follow my structure of eating. So you eat minimal calories during the day and you save most of your calories for the final meal, for the meal at the restaurant, for the night, right? Because that's, you don't really want to be going out and you have like 400 calories left to eat. Like, what's the point of that? You may as well stay home and eat fruit or something. If you want to go out, like for example, me, I'm going to eat maximum 1,000 calories during the day because I have 2,500 calories to work with. It might be less for you, right? And then at night, I have 1,500 calories. I can be flexible. I can go out. I don't feel like I can only choose one thing off the menu because that's the only thing that fits for my calories. So make sure that when you're going out, you have allocated the calories specifically for that meal. You don't just throw out all your knowledge out of the window. Calories don't matter today, they matter. You can gain a pound of fat in one day if you eat enough, genuinely. You don't throw all the knowledge for your diet out the window either. For the foods that you're eating, you don't start eating loads of fries and ice cream and chocolate and donuts and whatever. When you're going out, you don't start, eating like shit, because that's going to make you hungrier long term as well. It's going to stimulate your brain in ways that are just going to make you want to eat more and more. It's going to be hard to stick to your calories. It's going to be bad for your health. You're going to be feeling bad for days after. Basically, stick to the whole foods, mainly whole foods approach. You can have a bit of dessert, of course. It's not a little bit. It's not gonna do a lot of damage. But if you go overboard, that's when you get bad results, and you're gonna make it harder for you to stick to that deficit, both short term and long term. What I wouldn't recommend for you to do when you're trying to drop that body fat percentage is drinking alcohol, because alcohol has calories. Like, you should know that alcohol, a pure ethanol, right, has 7 calories per gram. So it's not protein, it's not fats, it's not carbs, it's not actually doing anything for your body, but it still has to get metabolized. It's still technically an energy source that your body metabolizes as calories, which means that you have to, if you want to get lean whilst drinking alcohol, you have to take away calories from food. And I wouldn't recommend. You have less calories to support hormones, to support energy, to support muscle growth, the protein, everything. But you're putting it towards alcohol, which is just a poison that your body has to clear. It's a bit different when you're already lean, when you have more calories to work with, when you're eating at maintenance. Then if you want to go out once a week, once a month, whatever, drink a little bit, then it can be done. You can still do it again once the calories are managed. But when you're actually trying to get lean, when you're trying to build those habits to get lean, to stay lean, that's something that I would cut out. In general, to be honest, you shouldn't even be drinking liquid calories when you're in a calorie deficit, because it doesn't improve your satiety. It doesn't make you full. Like, for example, you can drink 500 calories worth of orange juice and it's gonna, half an hour later, you're still gonna be hungry because you've not actually eaten any food. Whereas if you try to eat 500 calories worth of oranges, that's a different story. You're not even gonna be able to do that probably, right? So basically cut out the liquid calories when you're dieting especially, and it's gonna make it a lot easier. Now onto the exercise that you're gonna do when you're trying to get lean. The priority is always lifting weights and building muscle, even when you're in a calorie deficit. Yes, you can build muscle in a calorie deficit. I've been doing it. Even though I'm already lean, I've already been training a while, I'm still doing it. You need to be making sure that you're hitting your lifts 3 to 5 times a week, 3 times the minimum if you're doing full body. Upper lower, you do that 4 to 5 times a week. You make sure that your progressive overload is still continuing even in a calorie deficit, or at the bare minimum, you're maintaining that strength. You need to be lifting heavy, 4 to 8 reps. You need to be training to failure every single set, do a couple sets per muscle group per workout. You don't need to be doing any high intensity interval training like sprints or rows or whatever else that you can be doing, because that's going to increase your appetite. If you want to burn calories through exercise, then just walk, literally just walk. Maximum do incline walking on the treadmill. Low intensity interval, not even interval, low intensity exercise, it's not going to increase your appetite like doing interval training would, high intensity sprints or whatever, plyometrics, whatever. But if you're doing low intensity, like walking, you're getting your steps in, you're doing some incline walking on the treadmill, that's going to allow you to not be hungry, but still burn calories. And the calories that you burn through low intensity exercise is going to be mostly coming from the fat, because, fat oxidation from the energy that you're taking in. Exercise is either anaerobic or aerobic. So anaerobic means without oxygen. So like sprints, whilst you're sprinting, you're not intaking any oxygen. Your body has to get energy to do that sprint from ATP in your muscles, which we want to use for lifting weights, not sprints. When you're doing aerobic exercise, for example, low intensity jogging, although even that I would recommend to do walking instead. Walking, your body can use oxygen whilst it's exercising, which means that it can oxidize fat for that energy. So basically, to make a long story short, right, do walking as your main form of exercise when you're trying to burn calories through exercise, and make sure your calories are managed. Now me, for example, I'm doing 20,000 steps a day. Now obviously that's a lot for a lot of people. You don't have to do that. Like, you definitely don't have to do that. But I just do it because it makes it very easy for me to stay in a calorie deficit when I'm doing a lot of activity. So my maintenance, I'm doing 20,000 steps a day, and I'm doing 4 to 5 weightlifting sessions per week. My maintenance is about 3,000 calories daily. So I can eat 2,500 calories and be in a solid 500 deficit. That makes it so easy for me to stay in a calorie deficit and adhere to it long time. When I have to, if I was only doing, 5K steps a day and I wasn't doing any incline walking or anything, then my maintenance would be about, like 2,300, 2,200, something like that. About 23 or 2,400, which means I would have to eat like 2,000 calories to stay in a decent deficit. And that's just too low for me. I actually can't do it. Like, I have a large appetite. I love to eat food. Some people have a smaller appetite. They can hit 2,000 calories every day if they're eating whole foods. Me personally, I can't do that. Even with whole foods, I'm still going to be hungry. So I just increase the activity so that I can eat more calories and therefore stick to my diet, because that's the most important thing. You stick to the calories and then you lose the weight. So for you, I'd recommend a minimum of 8 to 10K steps a day. 10K steps a day realistically. That will give you a nice solid baseline of activity. And then you can add incline walking if you want. And basically just make sure that your calories are managed. You add in the calories from the exercise that you're doing. You obviously include that in your maintenance total. And then you subtract the calories from there to get your deficit. And that's how you're going to lose weight consistently. Get your sleep optimized as well, 8 to 10 hours per night. Make sure that you're going to the sleep at the same time every day. Naturally, you're going to wake up at the same time every day. If you're not sleeping correctly, if you're sleep deprived, like most people are, to be honest, unintentionally, then during the day, you're going to be hungrier. Your hunger hormones are going to be out of whack. Your ghrelin, your hunger hormone that makes you hungry, is going to be higher. Your leptin is going to be lower, even when you eat food. Like, I remember one day, I slept for like 2-3 hours. I don't know what I did. There was some reason, right? I slept for like 2-3 hours. And the next day, I'm not even joking, I ate like 6,000 calories of clean food. I ate 6,000 calories of clean food. That should be impossible. But because my hunger hormones were so destroyed from that night of poor sleep, I just inhaled everything and it didn't even register that I'd eaten something. So obviously most people are not at that level to eat 6,000 calories a day, although I guess some people are. But just sleep correctly and you're going to be fuller with the food that you eat, and you're going to be less hungry even when you don't eat. So it just makes everything a lot easier. Now, when you're lean, like I mentioned right at the start, when you're lean, everything is better in your life. You really have to have that mindset. Mindset is so important when you're trying to get lean, because there are times when you're going to be hungry. There are times when you're going to have cravings. Now, the longer you do it for, the longer you stick to your diet, the longer you stick to your calories, the easier it gets. But you do have to push past those points of resistance to get to that point. Most people just fall at the first hurdle, right? They can't clear that first hurdle. The first craving they get, or straight away they're back on the pizza. The first time they feel a little bit of discomfort in their stomach, straight away they go into the kitchen and finding something to eat. You need to have the mindset that the result that you're going to get is worth way more than any temporary satisfaction that you're going to get from any hunger or any discomfort that you're feeling. That's the mindset that you have to operate from if you want to achieve the results. So take into account what I've said in this video. Make sure you're getting everything optimized, and that's how you're going to achieve the results that you want. You're going to get lean and all the benefits that come with it. If you do want more help to get lean, to build an attractive physique, full breakdowns, everything, check the top link in the description. That's my program where I'm going to help you to do that. If you want to work more one-to-one with me, get on calls, all of that stuff, check the second link, that's one-to-one coaching.